Hello, malt mates. Welcome to the Whiskey Bothy. I'm Ralphie. Welcome to review number 1108 extras. Extra content, extra opinion, extra perspective, extra narrative, extra whiskey stuff. There you go. Now, I've just reviewed this. This is St Bridget's Kirk, and it's not what I intend to review at this time of year. It's not what I expect to review, but I think it's a genuinely exciting whisky worth reviewing. And there's no point in me reviewing widely available, well-known brands which have been diminished prior to bottling to make them nice and safe for the palate of people that are not particularly interested in flavour. I've done all that in the past, and this channel's got to move on. And I know I'll get less viewers, and I don't care. I've got to keep the essence alive of this channel to actually be motivated to do it. And that essence is, I'll just start with the beginning here. I've just reviewed this whisky. I gave it 85 out of 100. I'm really enjoying it. It's a fascinating blended Scotch whisky, which you've never heard of. And in fact, I never heard of until I phoned a specialist whisky company in Scotland and I said, tell me what, have you got anything I don't know about that you think's a bit of a banger and I should probably buy? And they said yes. And they say yes because in small independent bottlers, they've got to be very, very fussy and picky about the whiskies that they stock. And they need to stock a wide variety of stuff that you will not find in the supermarket, you will not find it in travel retail, and you will not find it in high-end, posh bars where they outrageously overcharge you because they're selling you pretension. On my Patreon channel, I've had a mini-series for Patreon subscribers called Whiskey Watch. I do it at this time of year. And I go online and I look at the online retailers and I see what have they released today and am I tempted to buy it? And what price are they asking and is it worth it? And what absurd version of Johnnie Walker or Chivas Regal are we going to see now? With a partnership with a fashion consultant or a famous artist that we've never heard of. Because corporations are committed to delusional pretension. And that is, for me, it's not what Scotch whisky's about. Scotch whisky's about authenticity. And authenticity is a currency and a style, and it never goes out of fashion. It always has weight, it always has gravity, and it will always last. And the reason that Scotch whisky's reputation has lasted for as long as it has is because the potential for original, authentic quality is always there if the producers care to invest in it. But in recent times, because of the fashionability of whisky, and this is also to do with the fashionability of bourbon, there has been a lot of pretentiousness going on. And one of the key components of that pretension is outrageous overpricing that does not represent the true value of the whisky, but no matter, people are prepared to pay over the odds. Why? Because they're suckers. If I've got anything wrong about that, please leave a comment and let me know. People are suckers. It's part of the human condition. And people look at the bling and they think the bling's worth something. But they don't know, it's like an artist, a real artist, someone who does art, who spends hours looking at colour, shape, form, texture. They'll look at these famous contemporary, the paintings in the contemporary art market, and they will see outrageous pretension, delusionment, and manipulation. And they'll go to some little provincial show somewhere in the sticks, away from the scene, and they will see the remarkable authenticity of genuinely talented, creative people who cannot sell their work. And this is nothing new. It happened to the Impressionists, it happened to the Cubists, it happened to the early Abstractists before their work got plundered and copied, plagiarised, because there's so much plagiarism in art. And you see the same thing in music, in the modern pop music scene. It's cookie cutter stuff. It's just repackaging, reworking and rebranding, and so the music starts to all sound the same, because it's about the money and it's about the pretension. And you see this in the award shows, that's where it's highlighted. And it's so damn boring. It's so predictable and pretentious that we need something authentic. We can only have authenticity and originality in our lives when we take responsibility to invest in it ourselves. And this is why we're careful about the whiskey we buy. By the way, if you notice anything at the moment, little kind of passing drops of water. I've got a leak in the roof in the bothy, and there's a heavy rain shower going on at the moment, and I need to get up and fix the roof, but I haven't got around to it yet because it's too cold. Now I've got to watch my rafters actually, because I don't want them getting wet rot. I'm probably going to have to spray them in the springtime, but I'll get around to that. Let's go on with the review here. Let's focus. So, I'm mindful of this. I'm mindful that I went into the supermarket to buy a popular brand of single malt, and I looked at the usual suspects, and I thought, these are all actually, every single one of them have the ability to be brilliant single malt whiskies, but they're all owned by big companies who have repetitive compulsive disorder syndrome. Right, not heard this before, have you? Repetitive compulsive disorder syndrome. And their repetitive compulsive disorder syndrome is because of the nature of the organisation. They take something beautiful and turn it into something bland, so that it appeals to their consumers. And what they don't want is their consumers to have the experience of a brand disrupted by flavour. Heaven help, and heaven forbid that should happen. So what they do is they don't just chill filter, they excessively chill filter, because it hides the fact that they're using bland casks. They're reusing casks. They're now starting to put syrups into casks to help generate the flavour that they're looking for, so that they can appeal to young consumers who might find real flavour to be uncomfortable and awkward because they've been weaned through supermarket food, microwave meals and home delivered pizzas, and they give you a nice bland experience that you go back for again and again and again, because they're not fresh and they don't have real flavour. If you want real flavour in a pizza, go to Italy, where they actually use fresh herbs. Heaven forbid. Fresh herbs in your home delivered pizza? That'd be suspicious, wouldn't it? I looked at the shelf in the supermarket and I thought, no, I'm sick of this. These are all barely competent single malts. They're bottled at 40 or 43%. Even the Stauning sitting in the shelf, which at one point was going to be a remarkable, innovative Danish distillery, and there it is. It's come to be buried in a supermarket shelf, bottled at 41.5%. Seriously? Yeah, I'm being serious. You can't even consider buying it. You just know how dumbed down it's been, how bland the brand has become, how pointless. And so I walk away. I've not bought anything. I don't care about the discount. Don't care about that. If I use my loyalty card, they'll give me about 40% off. I don't care. It's still not worth it. For the disappointment, for the letdown, for the failure of that brand delivery to a whiskey drinker that's been around whiskey for 35 years, and I care about what I put into me. I care about the whiskey that I buy. So instead I went home and I phoned a specialist whiskey shop, because that's where the magic's happening at the moment. And I talk about it to my Patreon subscribers in my Whiskey Watch videos. I say we should be seeing the big discounts and the big retailers, the big online retailers, but you know what they're doing instead, some of them? They're saying, buy a ticket for the opportunity to buy a bottle. That's what they're doing. Oh, but you know, we've got a pool here. The bottle's worth this amount of money. So we're going to sell 65, 70 tickets, whatever many tickets, at £5, £10 each, and we'll draw from a hat, and everybody loses their money except one. What a disgusting, despicable, deplorable way to go about presenting a whiskey brand to the world. I am not impressed with that, and I will never dream of participating in that, such a thing. And I highly recommend Maltmates take nothing to do with that. That's just a form of proxy gambling. That's all that is, and it's disgusting that whiskey sales should come to this, that you have to enter a lottery. Walk away, whiskey drinkers. Walk away from that sort of shenanigans and despicable behaviour. It's unworthy of the Scotch whisky industry. And the Scotch whisky industry should be penalising retailers who behave in that fashion. It's not right. Turning whiskey into a game of bingo. Give me a break. The real energy is in the small specialist retailers, because although they charge a little bit more for their whiskey because of their small scale, it's the small independent bottlers that are actually stocking the genuinely exciting whiskies in this day and age. The Loch Lees, the Torreviegs, the Ardnahos, the Ardnamurchans, the Springbanks, the Glen-Scotias, the Isle of Harris. This new generation of distilleries that are the zeitgeist, the energy and the fascination that draws us to whiskey. They're bottling these bottles. They're not getting 100% of the time. No, absolutely not. And yeah, they're occasionally making mistakes, and then we've got to just skip what they bottle now and again. But they're still bottling the bangers at accessible prices. Real whiskey for real whiskey drinkers. And that's where we should put our focus, our attention and our money. And if you're in an airport, let me give you advice. When you're walking through travel retail, formerly known as duty free, and you see the sparkly wee wind, the yellow brick road that they have, it's all sparkly road, and the place reeks of corporate perfume. Do yourself a favour, keep on walking and do not stop. Not for anything, buy nothing. Keep your money to go online and check out the small specialist retailers. You'll soon find them, and see what they're selling. And they're not just selling the official distillery bottlings, they're selling the independent bottlings. Little Brown Doug, right, exciting independent bottler. North Star, Dramore, Lady of the Glen. The independent bottlers who now have access to better whisky from distilleries, because the big distilleries need the money because they can't sell their own whisky because they're dumbing it down far too much. These are such interesting times we're in at the moment, malt mates. And they're going to get even more interesting. Watch this space. Buy in your popcorn. In fact, even better, make it yourself and slightly salt it, and use real butter for your buttery popcorn. And just a tiny sprinkle of caster sugar over it so you don't oversweeten your popcorn. Make it properly. Make it yourself. Don't buy the garbage out the supermarkets. The corporate dumbed down garbage where they hide ingredients in the ingredients so that you don't know that you're being poisoned. That's what I was told recently. And do you know who told me? A nurse. That nurse shall remain anonymous for their own safety. I'm so enjoying that. This glass has had a drop of water in it now for over half an hour, and is continuing to hold an animated conversation with me, which I'm enjoying so much. £29-year-old blend, and it cost me £88 a bottle. You know, there's 29-year-old blends out there, £880 a bottle, and they're not giving me the energy that I'm getting for this. And being blended whiskey, they'll probably be bottled at 40%. When it comes to buying and spending your money, let the suckers take the sucker punch, and don't be a sucker. Invest your time in doing your forensics and your deep dive and understanding where the true value of whisky is the experience of smell and taste. And when you engage with the quality, it will inform the quality of your life, and the quality of your life will be better. That is my concluding message at the end of this completely freewheeling extras. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy whatever you're drinking. Whatever it is, make sure it's quality, because it needs to be. And understand this, really understand this, that it takes a bit of time, but you'll know a bad whisky when you experience it, because it always contains the same sequence of disappointments. And it's not what it is. Primarily, it's what it isn't. And it's the real whisky bottled at higher strength that's flavour forward, flavour invested, with the quality of casks involved. That's your comparison, your direct and immediate comparison and point of reference as to when you're being shortchanged and short delivered in experiences. The majority of people around us are content to be shortchanged because they're used to it. They've been groomed for it from a very early age as children on inferior sweets, inferior flavours, pre-packaged meals, breakfast cereals. I mean, now and again, no harm, but there's too many people trying to sustain themselves on ultra-processed food, convenience food, and then they wonder why they feel ill and ill at ease. And if they did a simple blood test, they'd probably find it was down to malnutrition. And I'm being perfectly serious here. Malnutrition. Because you only get real nutrition from real food. And real food is the fresh food that you cook and prepare yourself. Bye.